The massive ship hung in the air above the launch pad. Rust covered its sides. Parts of it looked broken. Humans from all over the world watched as the alien ship slowly landed. This was the gift from the Galactic Concordat to Earth. Captain Frank Nelson stood with his arms crossed. His blue uniform was crisp and neat, unlike the ship in front of him. Next to him, Olivia Martinez shook her head. "They call this a gift?" she said. Her voice was quiet but angry. "This is junk." Frank did not answer right away. His eyes moved over the ship, taking in every detail. He saw the holes in the metal. He saw the dim lights that should have been bright. He saw how some parts were missing. "The aliens think we are stupid," said Peter Johnson, the head of Earth's space program. He was an older man with gray hair and a deep voice. "They give us their trash and call it a gift." The ship was huge, at least 3 football fields long. It was shaped like an arrow with wide wings at the back. Once it might have been beautiful. Now it looked sad and forgotten. 3 months ago, the aliens called Zelnar had come to Earth. They were tall blue beings with 4 arms and large black eyes. They told humans they were welcome to join the Galactic Concordat, a group of 7 alien races. But first, humans needed to prove they could travel in space. As a help, they would give Earth a ship. Everyone was excited. Then they saw the ship. "The Zelnar ambassador's coming," said Lisa Reyes, walking up to Frank. She was in charge of talking with the aliens. "He wants to show you inside the ship." Frank nodded. "Let's see what else they think we're too simple to understand." The ambassador, Jextal, was waiting at the ship's entrance. His blue skin looked smooth in the sunlight. His forearms were folded in what humans had learned was a sign of respect. "Captain Nelson," said Jextal, his voice making the words sound like music. "I am pleased to show you the discarded hope. This vessel will help your people learn about space travel." Frank noticed the name. Discarded Hope. Even the name was an insult. "We are grateful," Frank said, not showing his true feelings. "Please lead the way." Inside, the ship was even worse. The halls were dark. The air smelled old. Many rooms were empty, with only marks on the floor showing where things used to be. "This is the bridge," said Jextal, walking into a large room, with windows looking out at Earth. "From here you control the ship." The control panels were covered in dust. Half of the screens were cracked or dark. The captain's chair was missing its back. "And the engines?" asked Olivia. "What kind of power does this ship have?" Jextal made a sound like bells. Frank realized it was laughter. "The ship has standard light-fold engines. They are adequate for your needs. You will not be able to go far, but you can visit your own solar system safely." Frank touched one of the working screens. It lit up with strange symbols. "And weapons? Defense systems?" "Basic shields only," said Jextal. "Your species is not yet trusted with weapons in space. The Concordat believes in peace." After the tour, the humans gathered in a meeting room near the landing pad. The mood was dark. No one spoke for a long time. "They gave us garbage," said Kyle Washington, the security expert. He hit the table with his fist. "They're laughing at us." "Maybe," said Frank. "Or maybe they made a mistake." Everyone looked at him. "What mistake?" asked Peter. Frank smiled. It was not a happy smile. They forgot who they were dealing with. Humans have always been good at fixing things, at making something from nothing, at turning trash into treasure. Olivia leaned forward. "You think we can fix this ship, make it work?" "I think we can do more than that," said Frank. "I think we can make it better than it ever was." Lisa looked worried. "The Zelnar told us not to change anything. They said we need to learn their systems first." "And we will learn them," said Frank. "We'll learn them so well that we can improve them." The room felt different now. People sat up straighter. Eyes were brighter. "It will take time," said Olivia. "And money, and people who know what they're doing." "We have all of that," said Peter. "What we need is a plan." For the next few hours they talked. They made lists. They thought about what they would need. By the time the sun went down, they had the start of a plan. Frank stood at the window, looking at the broken ship sitting on the launch pad. Night. Lights made it glow in the darkness. "What are you thinking?" asked Olivia, joining him. "I'm thinking they gave us exactly what we needed," said Frank. "A piece of junk?" "No," said Frank. "A challenge. Humans love challenges. We've gone to the moon with less technology than a modern phone. We've built cities in deserts. We've cured diseases that once killed millions." He turned to look at Olivia. "They think they're being clever. They think they've put us in our place. But all they've done is give us a chance to show them what humans can really do." Olivia smiled. "So what do we call it?" "We can't keep calling it discarded hope." Frank looked back at the ship. In the darkness, with the lights shining on it, you could almost see what it could become. "Phoenix," said Frank. "We'll call it Phoenix, rising. Because that's what it's going to do, rise from the ashes." The next morning, trucks started arriving. People in work clothes came with tools and equipment. Scientists and engineers from around the world flew in to help. The project to rebuild the Phoenix Rising had begun. The Zelnar watched from their embassy, sure that the humans would fail. They did not understand what they had started. They did not know that the worthless vessel they had given as a joke would soon become something no one in the galaxy could have imagined. They did not know humanity. 3 months passed. The landing pad where the Phoenix Rising sat was now busy day and night. Large white tents surrounded the ship. Trucks came and went. The sound of tools and machines never stopped. Inside the ship, Olivia Martinez wiped sweat from her face as she worked on the engine. The room was hot. Wires and parts covered the floor around her. 6 other engineers worked nearby, taking things apart and putting new things in. "How is it going?" asked Frank, walking into the engine room. He looked tired. Dark circles sat under his eyes. He had not slept much in weeks. Olivia smiled and held up a small box with lights on it. "See this? It was controlling the engines, keeping them weak." Frank took the box and looked at it. "They put limits on the engines? Why?" "Because they did not want us to know what this ship can really do," said Olivia. She pointed to a large screen showing numbers and charts. "Without this control box, the engines are 5 times stronger, maybe more." Frank's eyes got wide. "Are you sure?" "Yes. We tested it yesterday. This ship is not old junk. It's just been made to look that way. The Zelnar took out some parts, added these control boxes, and covered everything in fake rust." Frank felt anger grow inside him. The Zelnar had not just given them a bad ship. They had given them a good ship that was made to look bad. They wanted humans to fail. "What else have we found?" he asked. "Come and see," said Olivia. They walked through the ship. It looked very different now. The halls were clean and bright. New floors had been put in. Walls had been fixed. But the biggest changes were in what the ship could do. In the weapons room, Kyle Washington showed Frank what they had found. "These empty spaces," said Kyle, pointing to large holes in the walls. They were not empty before. The Zelnar took out the weapons, but they left the connections. He showed Frank a new gun that his team had built. It was long and silver. "This is a railgun. It uses power from the ship to shoot metal very fast. We are putting 10 of them in the spots where weapons used to." And next they went to the bridge. It was now clean and bright. New screens covered the walls. The captain's chair had been fixed and looked new. Lisa was working at a computer. "Captain, I found something," she said when she saw Frank. "Look at this." On her screen was a map of stars. Some had names in the Zelnar language. "I found this deep in the ship's computer," said Lisa. The Zelnar did not delete everything. I think they were in a hurry when they gave us the ship. They left star maps, communication codes, information about other aliens. Frank looked at the star map. One star was marked in red. "What's that one?" "That's a star near us. Proxima Centauri. We sent people there last year to start a colony," said Lisa. "But look at this note." She touched the screen. Words in the Zelnar language appeared. It says disputed area. Draxid claim zone. Draxid? Who are they? Asked Frank. Another alien race, not part of the Concordat. The Zelnar never told us about them, said Lisa. Her face was worried. Frank, our colony is in a dangerous place. The Zelnar knew and did not tell us. Frank felt cold. The Zelnar had not just given them a bad ship. They had let humans go to a dangerous place without warning them. How many people are at the colony now? He asked. 5,000, said Lisa. Men, women, children. Frank turned to Olivia. How soon can the ship be ready to fly? Olivia looked surprised. Ready? We are still working on it. Maybe 3 more months? Make it 1 month, said Frank. I think our people might be in danger. The next day, Frank called a meeting. All the lead workers on the Phoenix project came. He told them about what Lisa had found. We need to finish the ship faster, he said. Our people at Proxima Centauri might need help. But the ship is not. Ready? Said Peter. We have fixed a lot, but there is still more to do. Then we work harder, said Frank. We work day and night. We get more people to help. The colony needs us. No one argued. They all knew what was at stake. Over the next few weeks, the work on the Phoenix went faster. More people came to help. The government sent money and supplies. The best minds on Earth worked together, the Zelnar noticed. Chextel came to the ship one day, his forearms moving in what humans now knew was a sign of worry. Captain Nelson, he said, we hear you are changing the ship. This is not allowed. You must learn our ways first. Frank looked at the alien. He wanted to show his anger, but he kept his face calm. We are learning, Ambassador. Learning very fast. The ship is not meant to be changed, said Chextel. It is a teaching tool only. We are grateful for the lesson, said Frank. His voice was cold. Now, if you'll excuse me, we have work to do. After the ambassador left, Frank called Lisa. Send a message to the colony at Proxima Centauri. Tell them to be on guard, and tell them we are coming. What if the Zelnar try to stop us? Asked Lisa. They won't, said Frank. They think we can't fix the ship. They think we are too simple, and that's going to be their mistake. 1 month later, the Phoenix Rising was ready. It did not look like the same ship that had landed on Earth. The rust was gone. The hull was smooth and silver. New parts had been added. The engines were stronger. Weapons were in place. On launch day, people from all over the world watched. The Zelnar were there too, standing apart from the humans. They looked worried now. Frank stood on the bridge with his crew. Olivia was at the engine controls. Kyle was at weapons. Lisa was at communications. 20 other crew members were at their stations. Phoenix Rising, ready for launch, said Frank into his radio. You are clear to launch, Captain Nelson, came the reply from Earth Control. Frank looked at his crew. They were ready. They were going to show the galaxy what humans could do. Take us up, he said. The engines came to life with a deep sound. The ship rose from the ground, smooth and powerful. It was not shaking or slow like the Zelnar thought it would be. It was strong and fast. As the Phoenix Rising shot into space, Frank thought about what was ahead. They were going to help their colony. They were going to meet new aliens. And they were going to show the Zelnar that giving humans a worthless vessel was the biggest mistake they ever made. The Phoenix Rising moved through space faster than any human ship before it. Stars looked like lines of light outside the windows. Inside, the crew worked at their stations, checking systems and watching screens. Frank sat in the captain's chair, on the bridge. A screen in front of him showed their path to Proxima Centauri. How long until we arrive? He asked. Olivia looked up from her station. 2 days, Captain. The engines are working better than we thought. We are moving 5 times. Faster than any Earth ship has gone before. Frank nodded. That was good news, but he was still worried. They had not been able to talk to the colony for 3 days. No one was answering their calls. Try again, he told Lisa, who sat at the communication station. Lisa pressed buttons and spoke into her headset. New Horizon Colony, this is Phoenix. Rising, please respond. She waited, then shook her head. Nothing, Captain. Just like before. Frank stood up and walked to the front window. Something was wrong. He could feel it. Kyle, what's the status on our weapons? Kyle touched his screen, bringing up pictures of the ship's new guns. All railguns are ready. We've tested them twice. They work well. Good, said Frank. I hope we won't need them, but be ready. The next day, as they got closer to Proxima Centauri, Lisa called out from her station. Captain, I'm picking up signals, not from our colony. These are different. Frank came to her station. Can you tell what they are? Lisa listened to her headset. Her face grew worried. It's some kind of language, not Zelnar. Something else. She worked on her computer for a minute. I'm running it through our translator. Words began to appear on her screen, foreign words becoming English. Frank read them and felt cold. Colony, secure, humans contained, awaiting further orders. Someone has attacked our colony, said Frank, his voice hard. Get everyone to battle stations. Alarms sounded through the ship. Crew members ran to their positions. Kyle turned on the weapons. Olivia made sure the engines were ready for quick moves. How much longer until we reach the colony? Asked Frank. 1 hour, said Olivia. That hour was the longest of Frank's life. When they finally arrived at Proxima Centauri, what they saw made everyone on the bridge go quiet. 3 large ships hung in space above the small planet where the human colony was built. The ships were dark and pointed like knives. They were much bigger than the Phoenix. Those must be Draxid ships, said Frank. Lisa, can you contact the colony now? Lisa tried again. This time, a voice answered. It was Paul Cooper, the colony leader. He sounded scared. This is New Horizon Colony. Who is calling? Paul, this is Captain Frank Nelson on the Phoenix Rising. We're here to help. What's happening down there? There was a pause. Then Paul spoke again, his voice low. 3 days ago, these aliens showed up. They call themselves the Draxid. They landed ships. They have weapons. They say this planet belongs to them and we are here without permission. Are people hurt? Asked Frank. Not yet, said Paul. But they've taken control of the colony. They say if we don't leave in 10 days, they will remove us by force. Frank looked at the 3 ships again. The Phoenix was just one ship, and smaller than any of them. But it was not the same ship the Zelnar had given them. It was better. Hang on, Paul, said Frank. We're going to handle this. As he said that, one of the Draxid ships turned toward them. A voice came through the speakers. The words were strange at first, then changed to English as the translator worked. Human vessel, you are in Draxid space. Leave now, or be destroyed. Frank looked at his crew. They were ready. This is Captain Frank Nelson of the Earthship Phoenix. Rising. You are threatening a human colony. We will not leave. There was silence. Then the Draxid ship started to move toward them. They're coming at us, said Kyle. Should I fire weapons? Frank shook his head. Not yet. Let's see what they do first. The Draxid ship got closer. Then a bright light shot from it toward the Phoenix. Energy weapon, shouted Kyle. Brace for impact. Everyone held on to something, but when the energy hit the Phoenix, something strange happened. The ship shook a little, but there was no damage. Olivia looked at her screen in surprise. Captain, the shields absorbed the energy, and they're using it to power our systems. We're now at 110% power. Frank smiled. When his team had rebuilt the ship, they had found a way to make the shields take energy from attacks and use it to make the ship stronger. It was something the Zelnar had never thought of. Now, Kyle, said Frank. Fire Railgun 1. Aim for their weapons. Kyle pressed a button. The ship shook slightly as the railgun fired. A small piece of metal shot out. At incredible speed, it hit the Draxid ship's weapon, breaking it apart. The Draxid ship stopped moving. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the other 2 ships started to turn toward the Phoenix. They're all coming now, said Kyle. Frank nodded. That's okay. We can handle them. He looked at his crew. Remember, we're not just fighting for ourselves. We're fighting for the 5,000 people in that colony, for all humans. The crew nodded. They were ready. The next few minutes were chaos. The Draxid ships fired at the Phoenix. The Phoenix's shields took the energy and grew stronger. The railguns fired back, hitting the Draxid ships in careful spots. "Aim for their engines," ordered Frank. "We don't need to destroy them, just stop them." Kyle's aim was perfect. One by one, the railguns hit the engines of the Draxid ships. Soon all 3 ships were floating in space, unable to move. Lisa called out from her station. "Captain, we're getting a message from the lead Draxid ship." "Put it on screen," said Frank. A face appeared on the main screen. It was not human. The Draxid had gray skin and small eyes, no hair, a mouth full of sharp teeth. "How is this possible?" the Draxid asked. "Your ship is small, old. You should not have been able to defeat 3 warships." Frank stood tall. "You made the same mistake the Zelnar did. You thought humans were weak because our technology isn't as old as yours. You were wrong." "What do you want?" asked the Draxid. "I want you to leave our colony alone," said Frank. "And I want you to tell others that Earth and its colonies are not to be threatened." The Draxid was quiet for a moment. Then it nodded. "We will go, but this is not over, humans." The screen went dark. Frank turned to his crew. They all looked tired but happy. "Send a message to Earth," he told Lisa. "Tell them the colony is safe, and tell them the Phoenix Rising works even better than we hoped." As Lisa sent the message, Frank looked out at the stars. The Zelnar had given them a worthless vessel, thinking it would keep humans small and weak. Instead, it had helped humans show the galaxy what they could really do. And this was just the beginning. News of the Phoenix Rising's victory spread fast. When the ship returned to Earth 2 weeks later, thousands of people came to see it land. They cheered as Frank and his crew stepped out of the ship. The world had changed while they were gone. Countries that once fought each other now worked together. The Phoenix had shown what humans could do when they joined forces. "Captain Nelson," people called his name as he walked through the crowd. Some wanted to touch him. Others just wanted to see him up close. Frank was not used to being famous. He smiled and waved, but he was glad when he finally reached the meeting room where Earth's leaders waited. "Captain, that was amazing work," said President Garcia, shaking Frank's hand. "You saved our colony and showed the galaxy that humans are not to be taken lightly." "Thank you, Madam President," said Frank. "But it wasn't just me. It was my crew and all the people who worked to fix the ship." "Of course," said the President. "And now we have a visitor who wants to speak with you." The door opened and Ambassador Jextal walked in. The Zelnar looked different now. His blue skin seemed paler. His 4 arms moved nervously. "Captain E. Nelson," said Jextal, his voice not as proud as before. "The Galactic Concordat sends its congratulations." Frank crossed his arms. "Really? I thought they would be upset that we changed their gift." Jextal's eyes blinked quickly. "There has been a misunderstanding. The ship was not meant to limit you. It was meant to test you." Frank almost laughed. The Zelnar were trying to save face. "A test that you thought we would fail." "Not at all," said Jextal, though everyone could tell he was lying. "And now you have passed. The Concordat invites Earth to join as a full member." President Garcia stepped forward. "We will consider your offer, Ambassador. But first, we have some questions." "Of course," said Jextal. "Why didn't you tell us about the Draxid?" asked Frank. "You knew our colony was in their claimed space." Jextal's arms moved in what humans now knew was a sign of discomfort. "An oversight. Nothing more." "And the ship?" said Olivia, who stood beside Frank. "It had limits placed on it. Controls to make it weaker." "Standard procedure," said Jextal quickly. "For safety." No one believed him, but this was not the time to argue. Earth needed friends in space, even if those friends were not always honest. "We'd hear Tao." "Accept the Concordat's invitation," said President Garcia. "As equals, not as children to be tested." Jextal nodded. "The Concordat will be pleased." He did not sound pleased himself. After the meeting, Frank walked with his crew back to the Phoenix Rising. Workers were already checking the ship, learning from its systems, planning to build more like it. What happens now? Asked Lisa. Now we keep exploring, said Frank. The Phoenix was just the start. We'll build more ships, better ships, and we'll show the galaxy that humans belong among the stars. 2 months later, Frank stood on the bridge of the Phoenix rising again. But this time he was not alone. 2 new ships floated in space beside the Phoenix. They were the Earth's first true starships built using what humans had learned from the Phoenix. Unity and Endeavor report ready for jump, Captain, said Lisa from her station. Frank looked at the screens showing the 2 new ships. They were beautiful, sleek and powerful, built by humans, for humans. No hidden limits, no secret controls. Very good, said Frank. Tell them we jump in 5 minutes. This was a historic day. The first mission of Earth's new space fleet. They were going to visit the Concordate's homeworlds to meet the other alien races as equals. The Zelnar had changed since the Phoenix defeated the Draxid ships. They were more respectful now. The other races of the Concordate were curious about humans. They had heard stories about the little ship that had beaten 3 war vessels. 1 minute to jump, said Olivia. Frank sat in his captain's chair, feeling proud. Proud of his crew. Proud of humanity. This is just the beginning, he said softly. Sir? Asked Lisa. Frank smiled. Nothing. Just thinking about how far we've come, and how far they still had to go. The galaxy was huge, with many dangers and wonders. But humans were ready now. They had proven they could take something worthless and make it powerful. Jumping now, said Olivia. The stars outside the window stretched into lines of light as the 3 ships jumped to faster-than-light speed. They were the first of many. Soon, human ships would travel to distant stars, meeting new races, facing new challenges. The Phoenix Rising led the way. It was not the newest ship or the biggest or the most powerful, but it was special. It had shown the way forward. It had turned shame into pride, weakness into strength. As the ships flew through space, Frank thought about the future. What other amazing things would humans do? What new technologies would they create? What new friends or enemies would they meet? One thing was certain. No one in the galaxy would ever underestimate humans again. Back on Earth, in a special building, stood the piece of metal that had started it all. The small box that had limited the Phoenix's engines. It was in a case of glass with a sign that read, "Never forget. Sometimes our greatest strengths come from overcoming the limits others place on us." People from all over the world came to see it, to remember how the Zelnar had tried to keep humans small, and how humans had responded by reaching for the stars. In the darkness of space, the 3 ships flew on, their lights bright against the black, their engines humming with power, their crews ready for whatever came next. Somewhere in the Concordate, the Zelnar were still trying to understand what had happened. How had humans done so much with so little? How had they turned a worthless vessel into something so powerful? They did not understand, and perhaps they never would. They did not understand that humans had been doing this throughout their history, taking problems and turning them into opportunities, taking broken things and making them whole again, taking limits and breaking through them. The Phoenix Rising flew on, faster and farther than any human had gone before. But it would not be the last. It was just the first step on humanity's journey to the stars. A journey that had begun with a gift meant to shame, and had become a triumph that would echo across the galaxy for years to come. 1 year had passed since the Phoenix Rising first flew into space. Earth had changed in ways no one could have imagined. The 3-ship fleet had visited all 7 homeworlds of the Galactic Concordate. They had met strange alien races, seen amazing sights, and learned new things. But most importantly, they had shown that humans were not to be looked down on. Frank sat in a large meeting room at the new Space Center in Geneva. Around him sat leaders from Earth and ambassadors from the Concordate races. Today was an important day for humanity. "We are pleased to announce that the Knowledge Exchange Program is now open," said President Garcia. "The Concordate will share, some of their technology with Earth, and we will share our ideas with them. Frank watched the Zelnar ambassador, Jextal. The alien was quiet now, not proud like before. Next to him sat ambassadors from the other 6 races of the Concordat. They looked at humans with new eyes, with respect. After the meeting, Frank walked with Olivia through the Space Center. Outside the windows, they could see workers building new ships, bigger ships, better ships. Earth now had a fleet of 12 starships, with more coming. "Did you ever think we would come this far so fast?" asked Olivia. Frank shook his head. "No, but I'm glad we did." They stopped at a window overlooking the main hangar. In the middle sat the Phoenix Rising. It was being upgraded again, with new systems and better weapons. Around it were newer ships, but none as special as the Phoenix. "Captain Nelson," called a voice. Frank turned to see Lisa walking quickly toward them. "The president wants to see you." "It's about the Draxid." Frank's face grew serious. The Draxid had been quiet since their defeat at Proxima Centauri, but Earth scouts had reported that they were building more ships, preparing for something. In the president's office, Frank found not just President Garcia, but also Kyle and several military leaders. "Captain," said the president, "we've received a message from the Draxid. They want to meet with us." Frank was surprised. "Meet? Not fight?" "They say they want to talk peace," said one of the generals, "but we don't trust them." "We want you to go," said the president. "Take the Phoenix Rising and meet their leader at the neutral space station near Alpha Centauri." "Why me?" asked Frank. "Because you beat them once," said Kyle with a smile. "They respect that." Frank thought for a moment. "When do we leave?" "Tomorrow," said the president. "And Frank, be careful. This could be a trap." The next day, the Phoenix Rising left Earth alone. No fleet this time. Just the one ship that had started it all. As they flew through space, Frank looked at his crew. They had been through so much together. They had taken a worthless vessel and turned it into a symbol of human strength. "What do you think the Draxid really want?" asked Lisa as they neared the space station. "I don't know," said Frank, "but I doubt it's really peace." The space station came into view. It was a large ring floating in space, built by a race that had gone extinct long ago. The Concordat used it as a meeting place for races that were not part of their group. A single Draxid ship waited near the station. It was bigger than their ships had been before. Darker. More weapons. "They've been busy," said Kyle, looking at his screen. "That ship has twice the weapons of the ones we fought." "But can it match the Phoenix?" asked Frank with a small smile. They docked at the station. Frank, Lisa, Kyle, and Olivia walked through the empty halls to the main meeting room. 4 Draxid waited for them. The Draxid leader stepped forward. It was the same one they had defeated a year ago. Its gray skin had more lines now. Its small eyes watched Frank carefully. "Captain Nelson," it said in a rough voice. "We meet again." "You asked for this meeting," said Frank. "What do you want?" The Draxid looked at the other humans, then back to Frank. "After our last meeting, many Draxid wanted war with humans. They wanted revenge." Frank stood tall. "We're ready if that's what you choose." The Draxid made a strange sound. It took a moment for Frank to realize it was laughing. "I am sure you are. That is why I am here. To avoid war." Now Frank was confused. "You don't want to fight us?" "No," said the Draxid. "The Zelnar tricked both of us. They told us humans were weak, that you were taking our space. They wanted us to fight each other while they watched." Frank looked at Lisa. She nodded slightly. The Draxid was telling the truth. "Why should we believe you?" asked Frank. The Draxid touched a device on its arm. A screen on the wall lit up, showing messages between the Zelnar and the Draxid. Messages about humans, about how weak they were, about how the Draxid should deal with them. "The Zelnar have played this game for years," said the Draxid. "They find new races, give them old technology, then watch as they fight other races. It makes the Concordat strong while keeping new races weak." Frank felt anger growing inside him. The Zelnar had not just given them a bad ship. They had tried to start a war. "What do you propose?" asked Frank. "An alliance," said the Draxid. "Not with the Concordat. Between humans and Draxid, we are both strong. Together, we could be stronger." Frank thought about Earth, about how far they had come, about how much further they could go with a real ally, not one that looked down on them. "I will take your offer to Earth's leaders," said Frank, "but I think they will agree." The Draxid reached out one clawed hand. Frank shook it, careful of the sharp edges. When the Phoenix Rising returned to Earth, people were shocked by the news. An alliance with the Draxid, the same Draxid that had attacked their colony. But when they saw the proof of the Zelnar's lies, they understood. Sometimes, the enemy of your enemy becomes your friend. 6 months later, a new fleet left Earth. Human ships flew side by side with Draxid ships. They were going to the Concordat Central World, not for war, but to demand the truth, to demand respect. Standing on the bridge of the Phoenix Rising which led the fleet, Frank looked out at the stars. The ship beneath his feet had started as a joke, a worthless vessel meant to keep humans small. Instead, it had become the ship that changed the galaxy, the ship that showed what humans could really do, the ship that turned weakness into strength. As the fleet jumped to faster than light speed, Frank smiled. The Zelnar had thought they were being clever, giving humans a broken-down old ship. It was the biggest mistake they ever made.